I went to see a Catholic, and I heard everyone's story. And there was nothing terrible in the story, but there was something I noticed that was very ironic. The supreme being was angry, distant, far away, and supposedly loving, but very little evidence of it, but had sent someone who was very friendly and loving, his son, who was promptly killed by the horrible humans. What an interesting paradox. So it began to seem to me that his father was someone you couldn't talk to. And the son, well, let me give you an example. This happened later. But eventually, we used to sing a song in church. Amazing grace, how sweet the sound. Do you know who wrote that song? It's really quite ironic. It was the ex-captain of a ship that was bringing black slaves from Africa to North America. And he converted eventually to Christianity, was very sorry for what he had done, and wrote this song. And when I went to church, that's all I knew. I didn't even know that, really. I just heard the song, and it was a good song. I liked the melody, and it had friendly words. So you see, on one level, there's nothing wrong with Christianity, but here's what I found out later. I saw a video with a beautiful black man singer who sang that song for us. And then he said, "Do you know where it comes from?" And I didn't. Methodist Church, Presbyterian Church? No, he says. The words were written by the captain of the ship when he became a Christian. But the melody was hummed by the Africans who were miserable and being tortured by being in the belly of the ship on a horrible journey to North America, where they were to be enslaved as the property of Christians. Ah, 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 ah. The sacred song of some group of people from somewhere in Africa, unknown and anonymous, suffering, treated like animals in the hull of a ship, driven by someone who becomes a Christian and wants to atone for what he's done, steals their melody and puts it on a song. Do you see the irony? This is the irony of Christianity. It's mostly practiced by sincere people because Jesus talks about loving. It's mostly practiced by people who talk about loving. And as my studies went on, I found out, but they had not behaved in a loving way. There's a fundamental paradox, which I now see in all of the religions who went out in the world with violence and aggression in the name of love. The younger I was, the less I entirely understood this, but when I went to university and began to study history, then I truly understood. And the other thing I saw was that Christianity was one of the religions who burned libraries and destroyed the paraphernalia of worship for other cultures. Any deity, any statue, any object, any altar that wasn't to their tradition, they would destroy it. So gradually I began to see something that William Blake said very clearly, the poet William Blake, who called the Christian God mean old nobody, that angry father in the sky. What's not to like in Jesus, except he's a little wimpy perhaps, but he doesn't fight for the truth. He doesn't want anyone to fight. Well, at least that's loving. But then what is with fighting all the wars? And remember, I grew up after World War II. I watched Vietnam in horror. And we were doing that in the name of God. In the name of God, I think it was called carpet bombing. Now, this was by the time of the 60s. Now I saw it clearly. We were carpet bombing women and children and innocent people and saying, God bless America. And I am saying to myself, something is terribly wrong. So if you're listening to me right now and you're a sincere Christian, namaste. I send you love and respect. But I'm sorry, you must see what was done in the name of loving Jesus. And you must face that. And in my opinion, you should say to the world, we are so sorry. We as Christians will never behave that way again. You need to take a vow that you will never do what your ancestors did. Because the amount of bloodshed that the Christian religion has in its history, and library burning and persecution, inquisitions, is actually just a horror story.
Please remember to subscribe to us and switch on the notifications for this channel. For our other social media links, more content, and to support our work, please visit citti.net. Dhanyavad. Namaskar.